The next generation of billionaires are in the making. And if you have some ambitions of becoming one of the next generation of billionaires, I think you need to recognize it's going to happen as a result of artificial intelligence and generative learning. And if you can find a place in it, either as an investor or as a businessman or woman, you stand a good chance to become a billionaire over the next several years. Now, you can stay in the safe zone, and that is to invest in Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, and Apple, and you'll probably continue, as you have over the past 20 years, to average somewhere between 25 and 35% return on your investment, which is good. Or then maybe you can get a little more aggressive and a little bit more knowledgeable, and you could invest in companies like NVIDIA and Supermacro and maybe Micron, and maybe you can get a 35% growth over the next several years. Those will kind of peter out, I believe, at some point or be replaced. But I think if the 25 to 35% with Microsoft, Google, Amazon, the big six, you'll be fine. But then that won't make you a billionaire. No, the billionaire, you're going to have to invest $100,000 return and make a 10,000x on it. Well, how do you do that? Well, you got to find some company that is going to capitalize on artificial intelligence that's down around a $2 or $3, $4 stock and becomes a $4,000 stock. That's how you're going to become a billionaire there. Now, has that been done? Yeah, it's been done by Warren Buffett, Bill Ackerman, who has the Pershing Fund and is a very good investor. And I would guess Kathy Woods is even in that billionaire category. Carl Icahn certainly is, but he went about it a different way. He was more of a corporate raider. And then Kamath, and I can't pronounce his last name, he was an original investor in Facebook, and he's leveraged his wealth quite well. And so I think he's a billionaire. So you can take that route, or I think that the quicker way and the more exciting way is take the route of Bill Gates, Sergey Brin, and Larry Page, and Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk, and create a company that is going to take advantage, that is going to deliver AI to the consumer, because that's what Bill Gates and Sergey Brin and Jeff Bezos and Elon does. They took the advancement in technology and delivered it to the consumer. So that brings me to my conversation with Suzanne. Suzanne is a lady that I happen to know, and I went to a graduation party on Saturday, and she was there, and she's a pediatrician, and I'd guess she's been a pediatrician somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 years, and she was explaining to me that she went to a conference. And at this conference was 20 other doctors. I don't know if they were all pediatricians, but they were sharing their anxieties, their issues with their career, all very successful, and how they were dealing with it. And Suzanne's comment to me was, the best takeaway I had was I wasn't the only one that was dealing with this. And I asked her, I said, Suzanne, tell me, what is the issue with being a pediatrician and being successful? She said, I'm only one person. She says, and my days, my 5 days a week are something of, I go in and I have appointments after appointments after appointments throughout the day. But during the day, I'm getting phone calls from fathers and mothers who are in panic over their child and their situation, and they expect to get me on the phone at any time during the day and answer their problems, and they get frustrated when they can't get a hold of me. But I have appointments all day. But what I do is every day I return every phone call, I answer every email, I answer every text, and what that means is sometimes I don't get home until 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening because I'm responding to their information. And I thought, wow. You know, when I was a young man, to be a professional, a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, some professional, that was the job to have. That was your key to success. Every mother wanted their children to be doctors and lawyers. But the reality is they aren't the big breadwinners, because they don't have time to, or they only make money when they can interact with people. So I said to myself, how is AI going to make Suzanne's life better so that she can take better care of her clients while at the same time taking better care of herself and her family? And I said, AI is going to do it. And what it's going to be is what I've been talking about. I referred to it as a nano, but I think it's actually going to be a collective AI system where you have a group of servers, maybe they're Jensen's newest 3,500 part chip that he has, that all the pediatricians in the world put their knowledge together, and that's all in a database, and then SoundHound puts that into a verbal format so that when someone calls Suzanne and their daughter is having intestinal problems and they want an answer, Suzanne can, through a bot, answer the question. First, she'll be able to identify the patient and through some verification and pull up all their history that this child has had with Suzanne, and then all the knowledge about pediatrics, and engage in a conversation with the parent as to what is going on, and actually have more knowledge than Suzanne has on her own as a world-class pediatrician, but has all this knowledge available, and even if she wants to, SoundHound could put it in her voice, that the parent could have a conversation immediately and take the stress out of their life and fulfill Suzanne's commitment to them, and she could get home and have dinner with her family. That's where the future is. Now, that's where you're going to find in SoundHound a $4 stock that could become, I don't know if it could become a $40,000 stock, but I'm quite sure it could become a $400 stock. And then I would ask you, what are the other companies that are going to come into the play to make this a reality? Is it NVIDIA, or is it a dedicated data center that has all the medical devices? And how do you fit into this? Well, maybe you're a pediatrician, and maybe you know more than I do about how this can all be put together, because I'm looking at it and saying, how am I going to become a billionaire? Well, I'm going to do the same thing I'm suggesting Suzanne does for her patients. I have a group of patients. I call it my tribe. Right now, there's about 1,200 of them, and they come to me and say, what are the stocks to buy now? What is it? Frank was on our Friday stock talk, and Frank was saying, Kerry, I did what you told me to do, and I bought NVIDIA for $120 a share about a year and a half ago, and now it's worth $900 a share, and I've got close to $100,000 in profits right now that are coming online next Thursday, or next Wednesday, I believe it is, when NVIDIA has its earnings call. What should I do? How should I hedge my bet? And Eric stepped up and said, well, maybe you ought to write a covered call, or maybe you should sell a put. Well, what if Frank could come to Best of Us Investors and ask that question anytime he wanted, and maybe in my voice, with all the knowledge of investing available to me through putting it on a server that Frank has access to, that I could answer his question and actually get into the depth of what is the situation, what is the market saying, what is the bid on a call for Nvidia, and what is the time frame that we should take into account. What if all that was possible if you came to Best of Us Investors and I made it available to you? And rather than having 1,000 people coming to me for this kind of information and me sharing it with them, what if I had 1 million people? And what if those 1 million people paid me a monthly fee in order to have access to this information that I gathered on one of NVIDIA's super computers, and it made it available to them? Guess what? I'd become a billionaire. And if Suzanne picks up the ball and runs with the knowledge for pediatricians and she runs that program, maybe she could become a billionaire. And maybe you're a lawyer, and maybe you have that information that you could put on one of Jensen's supercomputers, and you could become a billionaire. Or maybe you make nuts and bolts, and you have a business in South Carolina, and you could create that Jensen's computer that has all that knowledge, and you could sell it to all the nuts and bolts people in the world, and you could answer every question that they have through the use of SoundHound, through the use of Jensen's computer, through the use of Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Apple, and Meta's, and whomever's database, and you're the guy who put it together. And you got the subscribers, the consumer who is you're making their life better, and so they're paying you a monthly fee, and that's how you duplicate what Bill Gates, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, Jeff Bezos, and Elon did in this past generation. Is that possible, or am I just connecting dots that don't connect? I think I figured it out. And I think if you can figure out, okay, I understand how artificial intelligence works, and I understand how people really don't want to type and get an answer. They want to create a conversation. They want to say, I don't understand that. Can you explain it to me in another way? Okay, now I understand it. Well, let's go a little deeper. And what if, again, I bring it back to my investment or the pediatrics, as you ask questions, the system learns from it and becomes smarter with each question that is asked. And if you've got 1 million people asking 10 questions a day, that's 10 million questions that this computer, this disk, this semiconductor is getting smarter every day. And it's within your capability today to turn this video off and say, where am I going to jump in here? Where am I going to figure this out so that I can help make the world a better place by implementing AI? It will not be Google that does this. It will not be Microsoft. They are not going to create the product for the consumer. It's you. It's Bill Gates with your name. It's Sergey Brin and Larry Page with your name. It's you sitting in your garage and saying, this is my opportunity because I've connected the dots. Again, you may do it in investing. You may come up with $100,000 and invest in a small company that's selling for $4 today, and you're going to get a 10,000x. But I don't think that's likely. Now, maybe you don't need to be a billionaire. Maybe a $10 million, and that way you only need 1,000x. Okay. Now that way your stock only has to go from $4 to 4,000. That's possible. Okay. I just want to emphasize, and it's crazy. I went to this to celebrate a young man's graduation, and I had a conversation. And the conversation threw up some dots. And on the ride home, I sat and talked to Nita and said, help me connect these dots. Am I on the right path here? Does Suzanne have a possibility? Does Suzanne have the probability that she could become a billionaire if she puts this together for the pediatric world? I don't know. I do know she explained to me that she's gotten into covered calls and puts and options trading. She's been doing it for the last 7 months. She said, my problem is I can't get to my computer while I'm taking care of my patients. The world is just a plethora of opportunities. Join our tribe and come harvest this plethora of opportunities. I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer, I'm a retired financial advisor. I'm here to help you become a billionaire.